Well, I come from Barcelona. I'm a photographer, and today I'm gonna present one of my long-term projects that it didn't just become a book, but it also generate some thoughts and ideas afterwards, and it's gonna be presented today. It's been 25 years ago when I was studying computer arts in Barcelona. They asked us to record a video to portray how our home was. And home is understood as a comfort zone or a place where we stay with our families and where we find memories and experience with our friends. And I didn't realize at the time, but with my video, I think I managed to understand that at the time, I already had like a home within my home. And this is a short excerpt of the video.
Ara queda bé aquí.
Acaba.
Por favor.
No facis el tonto, tu menja normal.
Perquè no vaig poder...
Ja.
Home, és que les marmelades, home, si li poses sucre...
Amb sucre?
Clar, la marmelada.
Ai, no la pas. La secretària es deia, tant que li provaren. La secretària...
Quiet, mira'm, però sèrio.
El d'allò em feia la seva...
Collons, no em feu cas.
Sí, perquè la... No sé.
Pots parar i...
Pots anar fent.
Okay, you understand what was going on in here. And this was actually my second home. And this image, it's sad because I don't have pictures of that time, but I think it would illustrate what was going on my home, on the home of my friends on the weekends. Internet was poor, but we managed to get our computers together. We did connect each other. And my second home was the virtual wall. Already in the year 2000, I was living with my friends inside Quake, and we were like chasing each other. We were shooting rockets, and we were hiding. And it took me 10 years to realize that this act of moving, looking, framing, and shooting, it was like taking pictures. That it took me 10 years to realize that I was taking pictures all day long. And that those 3D spaces where you have the control of the movement and the look of the view of your avatar, you could not just shoot rockets, but you could like screen capture what you were seeing and work as a photographer inside those environments. 10 years later, Abeboy, my friend, the friend who I was doing those LAN parties back in the year 2000, he went to Madrid to live. And we kept playing online games, using them as a meet in Zoom, or we were like meeting on Sunday, and we were telling each other how our week was, but we were like doing a video conference while playing different online games. We were sharing those environments. And at the time that I was already interested for photography, I started a series of portraits of my friend in the different environments where we were living in. We did build amazing things in Minecraft. We did kill plenty of people in Call of Duty. Actually, we didn't kill that much because we were like staging photography. We kept away from the war somehow, and it was like, okay, Alex, get inside this plane that I will move here and I will take this picture. And I started to take a series of portraits of him on many different environments where we were living in. At some point, we ended up in a place called PlayStation Home. PlayStation Home was the virtual wall from Sony. It was pre-installed in every PlayStation 3. And these are the two of us. I'm the one on the left. It says Haciendo Fotos, and Abeboy is my friend. And the thing about PlayStation Home is that it's not a world where you have to kill any dragon or rescue any princess, but it's more like a Second Life, that it's a environment where you can create whatever you like, or you want to, well, that you can just have your Second Life there somehow. And at some point, this was 2009, from 2010, and we went in on in New Year's Eve, and I realized that there were thousands of people celebrating New Year's Eve there, and it was like, wow, if I know that I can be a photographer inside these 3D walls, maybe I'm not that interested in my friend anymore, and I can try to document through photography what people is doing inside this virtual environment. And this embarked me in a 5-year project where I started to document the lives of the people who were living inside this wall. One of the things about this wall, at the beginning, I was just like a street photographer, and it amazed me how similar to taking pictures on the street was, that you had to run, you had to, things disappeared, you had to be fast and quick, and people were telling you, don't take me pictures. No, it was quite similar, but quite different at the same time. And one of the things that blew my mind was that when people talk in this environment, you didn't hear the conversations, but the conversations appeared on top of the people's head. So I had in my hands like the first camera able to photograph words. And words became an incredible thing to photograph, and it allowed me to start documenting the conversations I had with the peoples I met. No, I was like taking pictures when I asked something, when they replied back, and this was, for example, the first guy who allowed me to take a picture of him, and then we had to find like a nice place with a nice background to take a picture of him, and then we kept talking, and I kept taking pictures of the conversation. I explained him that I'm a photographer in real life. I was using real life yet, but now I think that it's not both worlds, the digital and the virtual, are real. They are different in a way, but I like to talk about the physical and the digital world. And so then, I started to document the people I met in this wall. At the beginning, it was like a casual people I found out while walking on this wall, but then I discovered that online there were forums where I could discover stories of people interested in different things, and I did I did investigate a little bit, and things grew a lot. Everything happened from my sofa. It was quite comfy. So I was taking, all the process and the project happened in this place. The project became a 350-page book called Postcards from Home. The book is here. It was published in Barcelona with Terranova. If anyone wants to see it afterwards in the break, it will be here, so you can check it out. And it became some kind of graphic novel, because the conversations or the encounters with the people are documented through conversations, and the design, we used the references from graphic design. It's a book to read, even though it's made by my own photograph. Some of the characters I met during this adventure, one of them was Dark Granny. Dark Granny was this grandma from Hawaii. She discovered PlayStation Home through his nephew, and she found out that in this world she could socialize with thousands of people, because she was living in a very small town in Hawaii. And then she was a psychologist, and she started to test. She had like 15 avatars, each avatar with his house and his personality. I took a portrait of each of his avatars. For example, I made her an interview, and there's a full chapter on the book. Another girl I met was Joanna Dark. Joanna Dark was a girl from United States that she loved fashion, and she discovered that in this wall she could have as many items she wanted, and she could combine them, and not just that, but that they had cameras and they had flashes, and she started to do fashion photo shoots inside this wall to share the outfits she thought with other girls on the internet, for example. There was a group of people who made a magazine called PlayStation Magazine, and this was a magazine that went out like every month, and every month it was full. They had like the editor, photographers. They actually had a proper work somehow. They did not live out of that because it was quite a small wall. But for me, it was an example that how people could find in this place some meaningful activity and something related to the proper work. And they had in the book they make me an interview, and well, there's an example of this magazine. I also found a Catholic church from the United States who had, instead of buying a pool and to do party in their private apartments, they built a church, and on Sundays they went there for praying and worship, and they were a collective that they met every Sunday in this place. And I also found another people who were called the homelings, that they went a step further, and they used the ability those walls offer to create like their own religion. And they said that they came from the outer space, and they were a group of thousands, and they had their commander, and they did poetry readings and art shows, and like some kind of role playing, but a group of people who met in here and used the tools that the game, I don't like to use the word game because I think it's not it's much more than a game, but they use the tools that this platform allowed them to create whatever they thought. At some point in time, in March 31 of 2015, Sony decided that that this wall was not giving them enough money, or PlayStation 4 came out, and they decided to shut down the wall at 12 p.m. And there were hundreds of parties. This is a video of people celebrating the end of the wall. And suddenly, after, at that time they said, then they got the network error. And so this was the last image of a wall that existed for 5 years. And I think that this book managed to preserve somehow. And I think that nowadays that we can use photography inside those environments, I think it's interesting to use this photography to document things that are going on those walls, to be able to study it in the future. Okay, when I was presenting this in the photography circles in 2010, not just in Barcelona, also I went to a portfolio review here in London, and they thought I was crazy. They said, "This is not photography." They said, "These are screenshots." And then they made me think about what is photography, no? And I ended understanding like photography as the act of capturing part of the visual information of the environment I live in. We live in a 3D environment. We look, we move, we frame, and we capture what we see. If I basically understood photography as that, okay? And then if I tried to think about what happened to photography and what happened to the digitalization of photography, I realized that we have digitized the place where the images are captured. We digitized the place where the images are like stored from paper to JPEGs or numbers. We have digitized the lab. We have digitized the album, but we are still taking pictures of the same mountains. It's like we have digitized everything, but what we photograph is still analog. We use digital photography to photograph analog things, no? And then the next thought was, okay, what happened when we live in front of a digital landscape? What happened when we live in front of the screen? If I understood photography as the act of capturing part of the visual information of the environment I live in, I thought that screenshots are like the final step on photography's digitalization, where we just not digitize the tool, but also the subject is digital. And to prove if this was true somehow, I tried to generate I tried to document my personal life through screenshot, trying to document what was going on my life, because if I'm living like 7 hours in front of the screen, let's see if with screenshots I can explain what happens in my life. And then I started this project called Hacer Pantallazo, where I programmed like every device I have. When I take a screenshot, it's automatically uploaded to the home of my website, and it actually changed the way I take screenshots, because before I was just taking screenshots of things I wanted to remember. I never took a screenshot of a title of an email telling me that I was invited to a conference in London. And nowadays I'm taking screenshots and understanding screenshots as photography for life in the screen somehow. And well, this is my thought about virtual or digital photography, because I think that we've been using the term digital photography, but it was not fully digitized somehow. And maybe screenshots are like this end step on the digitalization of photography. And thank you so much.